Hey, welcome again, my galactic audience, my Earth audience. I appreciate you showing up. This is Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coach, and I'm your host, Charles. Appreciate you showing up. If you're new to this channel, just check out some last videos. Check out the videos from my past, and this will clear up a little bit more of what we do here. This is a channel that shares esoteric knowledge for the purpose of unfolding your heart, unfolding the moment with an undefended heart, and taking responsibilities for our thoughts, actions, and emotions. It's also for the purpose of gaining enlightenment. Enlightenment is just enlight mind. It's just having more energy, more power that connects you to the universe. And some of the beginning stages we need to understand before we can really learn to communicate with those out in the galactic neighborhoods or realms or spirit realms, whatever you want to call them. It's just all frequencies to me, just like radio stations. If I'm tuned in, I can pick up on radio stations. With my apparatus, it's called a radio. But we are ourselves radios because all of our cells have transmitters and receivers in them. And in order to get these sides communicating, the heart and the mind, we need to then tap into and understand the esoteric, which is the energy or the knowledge within ourselves. Right? If you choose to reach the heights of your life in this realm, this matrix, this holograph, whatever you want to call it, and this computer projection, we are all just energies floating around, or electricities, and this electricity has consciousness to it. And understanding how to communicate with this consciousness, which is within you. Once you understand how to communicate with you, you can understand then how to communicate with others, your friends, families, co-workers, all that good stuff. And when you can sort of master that, then you can communicate with those off-worlders, we'll just call them, or multiverses, or interverses, or whatever verse you want to call them, on different frequencies. It's irrelevant what we call them. They're just different beings that transmit on different frequencies because their cellular matrix resonates at a certain frequency, and if you can tune into that frequency, then you can communicate. And that's what this class is about. Yesterday we started talking a little bit more about how to learn, but we looked at this chart here briefly, and we understood that to get to a present state, to a desired state, or if you want to communicate with someone or set goals in your life, whatever this may be, is that there's sort of a pattern amongst all the other patterns and frameworks I showed you. Yesterday we talked about you have to have a desired motivation to learn. If you want to learn, for what purpose, right? How is it going to serve you, and how can you serve others with that? If it's just for shits and giggles, then that's fine too, but if you're going to serve a purpose here on life, then we have to desire a motivation. And the steps to get there we talked about is will, wisdom, action, knowledge, all this good stuff. But once we understood and we're excited about this learning, then we acquire an experience from that learning. Then we lead by taking this information and then teaching others or instructing others. And then not that we're right or wrong, that we're just continuing sharing information at whatever stages we're at. Because wherever we're at, someone's ahead of us and someone's behind us, if you will. Or someone has a broader understanding, some have a more narrow understanding. So everyone plays a part in sharing or unfolding these moments, right? Feedback, reflection, and criticism, and then we finally talked about humility yesterday at length. And so today we want to continue this conversation, and we want to talk about the experiential learning. Now, experiential learning is intrinsic, the esoteric, right? True learning happens within you. Yes, we can learn stuff outside of us, but what's outside of us is all made up. And yes, we can make the same statement or argument that what we're thinking and connecting with within us is also made up, because it's your thoughts that you're giving what's inside of you. But what we're attaining here is enlightenment, which is to go to lighten up the mind. The mind is limited. in one sense. So we're going to bring light, or the heart, or the soul, or spirit, whatever these words you want to use. We're going to bring light into the mind. And so when we bring more light, we can see what's there more clearly. You can understand your life here on earth more clearly. So externally, there's nothing, we can learn all this stuff, but internally, there's nothing to learn. We already know it all. It's just a matter of communicating or accessing it. That makes sense now? Okay. So intrinsic and then extrinsic is that we're having to work it out in our head. We're working out problems, solving issues, all this type of stuff. We work it out through verbalism or communication, right? And that's fine. We got to work through these stages of hearing ourselves and trying to get through what it is we don't understand. But once we go outside ourselves and we cannot get the satisfactory answers or the desired answers, then we're going to go ahead and go inward. And there embodies all the answers you'll ever want. It's just a matter of opening up and communicating and hearing this. Now in the future, we're going to have a video about really understanding and having gratitude and what that means on a not only esoteric but on a galactic level. All right. But for now, true intrinsic learning is not about memorization. We talked about memory a little bit yesterday, but when I can recall information, but I didn't have to remember it because I was experientially learning this stuff, meaning all my senses were engrossed deeply. Right? There's that word deep listening, deep communication, deep connection. Right? I was deeply connected to the information I was studying. And because of that, it just sticks to you because you're magnetically drawing it in. But if you're trying to force something in your brain, unless you have photographic or eidetic memory, it's not going to stick. You have to do rote rehearsal. You have to repeat it 100 times. You have to transform an old thing to a new thing. Right? So we talked about the importance in one sense. Yes, if you're a doctor or lawyer or something like that, yeah, memorization is needed for now. And then, but in understanding life and communicating, we don't need to memorize anything. We just need to be in the unfolding moment and state what is with immediacy. All right? And so we're going to lead by example. We talked about that earlier. And so we're going to lead by example. And so we want to share what we're excited about to others. Again, we talk about this as compassion or passionate. Passionate is passion, which is passing ions. It literally means to pass your ion. And when we lead by example, then we share what we know with other people because we're excited about it, so we just share it. It doesn't mean that we're expecting people to accept it or believe in it. It's just we're just sharing an energy. And that energy turns into information or informed ions in the way in which we perceive it, and we're excited about it, so we want to send that energy out. Right? And when you gain the knowledge, you as well as others will change and grow. And that's the whole idea of this channel, is just to expand our awareness, unfold the moment. And then the next step was criticism. So we need to embrace that criticism. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but we're just detailing a little bit more today. And so we need to embrace it. What does that mean? Is that we need to bring, when you feel criticism or criticized, we don't take it personally, but if you do feel an emotion, is be with that emotion. Don't think about the emotion, just be with that emotion and allow it to unfold. What does that mean? It means just be with it, work through it. I don't need to intellectualize it, I just need to allow it to go through me. And we do this, as we continually say, with an undefinite heart. So part of embracing it is unfolding it with an undefinite heart, which means I'm not going to defend what I'm feeling. I'm going to feel what I'm feeling, and then I'm going to allow that to flow, because what that does is unencumber me. It detaches me from sticking and getting too sticky with this exchange of communication or this exchange of energy. I don't want to take on anyone else's energy, and if I'm sticking and looping my own, then I want to unfold that so I can be in the unfolding moment. If not, then I'm stuck in the past for however long I think about that same thing over and over, right? And that keeps me from unfolding the moment or the future, right? And we need to do this immediately, not by not hanging on to it, all right? And we get into humility. So humility is embrace that feedback, just like we talked about. Know that you aren't perfect, right? If you're trying to be perfect and you're offended because someone criticized you, then you just got to get over it, right? I used to tell people, just go to architect school, learn how to create blueprints, take the blueprints, build a bridge, and get over it, all right? So we aren't perfect, and neither is the person criticizing you or your information, right? So they don't really know you, but what they're doing is criticizing your information. And again, we asked for it. Right? I know criticize sounds like a harsh word, but I'm looking for feedback if that's better. We can do an electrical feedback loop, a bio loop, right? The biochemical, how did our body respond to that word or that phrase or that impression from that outside influence, right? Know you have room to grow by having that feedback, and if you did experience a trigger or something to this fact, that's good. Unfold that moment immediately, and because then what you're doing is making room to grow. If you hold on to it, there's no room for growth. There's no room for anything to come in of enlightenment. No more power. No more intellect. No more awareness or insight. Right? So we set that example, right? Be the example. It leads to more motivation to learn. So if we're leading the example and we're getting feedback, and this feedback is, let's say, received, and then we can say, oh my God, this is exciting. People are really receptive to this, and let me go learn more about it, right? Because these people are hanging on to every word I'm saying, right? They like it. And it also means that we're able to embrace what we don't know. So we have the courage now, the heart, same word, we have the heart, again, not defending it, but to unfold it in the unfolding moment, and then being able to embrace what we don't know. So if we don't know what we don't know, then we're opening up so we can receive information to know it. Right? You can only know something in the now. We talked about that earlier in another video. All right, so we got to learn the process. So evaluation of problem solving, what does that mean? It means we got to value ourselves in this issue that you're encountering, this experience, this event, right? This criticism in that respect. And so we have to evaluate, okay, was what I presented valuable? And if it wasn't, because of this feedback, especially from multiple sources, right? If they're not valuing or you're not getting the valuable feedback, then you need to go reevaluate why you're presenting the information you're presenting. Is it valuable to you? You may think it's valuable to others, but why are you trying to make it valuable to others? It needs to be valuable to yourself because it's you. It's the value of you that you're sharing and passing on to other people. That's what you're excited about, is understanding you and your perception, your perceptions of the world. And we can look at, what's your learning process, is where do you get stuck or not grow from your experiences. So when you have one of these experiences, what do you get stuck on? Is it fear? Well, fear is a lack of knowledge or laziness. You're not willing to do your own work. You're waiting for someone else to give you your answer. You're waiting for the divines to give you the step-by-step instruction to say, here, go do this. Well, they're not going to give that to you, right? And they can be messengers, just like I'm a messenger here. I'm just relaying information that I've accumulated and downloaded from all sort of sources. I know it's sorcery, right? All sorts of sources, which sorcery comes from. And so what do you get stuck on? And what it definitely is going to show you is what you're not willing to grow on. And why aren't you willing to grow? For what reason? How is it serving you not to grow? And how will it serve you to grow? And what does growing mean? It means to be open and receptive. We have to water that seed that's been planted in us, all right, of knowledge. All right, so how do you learn? You learn through challenging problems in your life experiences. We just talked about that some. So you're given challenges in your life to constantly reevaluate who you are and what you are, and what you're willing to share with the world, and how well you're willing to work on yourselves. Right? And we want to revisit and replicate certain ionic experiences. What do I mean by that? It means that if you're having difficulty or you're stuck in going forward, right, go back to a past experiences that had similar energy or frequencies or feelings, and then how did you get through those? How did you overcome that? Right, what information helped you? Right, so if you've accomplished getting over something in the past, and just guess what? You can do it again. So there's no such thing. Being stuck is an illusion. Being stuck is just an excuse not to do your work. Right? And not to face the feelings that you're feeling. So when you face and embrace the feelings, then the unfoldment starts, and then the passion starts flowing, and then you're motivated because you're moving the ions through passing them. If you pass them, they move. Get it? Mirror and rhyme the expert. So look at the other people who have done it. If you're stuck, look at other people who've gotten through it. Read their book. Listen to their words closely. Subscribe to their thought process. Doesn't mean you need to believe in it, but subscribe to it. Right? And then play with it. Integrate it with yours. Right? Take in what works, get rid of what doesn't. Right? But follow and mirror the experts, not to be exactly like them, but to pick their brains and go, how did you get through this? What worked for you? Right? And this could be one of your core values that we've talked about in past videos, right? Look at that video, core values. It's about perseverance. Perseverance is going through this. And we'll have a video later about understanding that, and we talked about it some yesterday, is about being able to not have desired actions, but have disciplined and knowledgeable actions, is understanding and awareness, and then that will achieve us the desired state. And once we have the desired state is what brings us the joy, happiness, and stuff. Right? We're not waiting for it. It's just what comes when the desire. That is what desired is. Desirement is the happiness, the joy, the fulfillment, the contentment. Right? And so to enhance and expand effectiveness. Right? And what does this mean? It just means that you're going to be more effective in communicating, not only with yourself, but with others, by helping them unfold their moments, by being patient and deep listening. Once we can deeply listen, then we can go deeper into space and connect with other realms and frequencies and beings. Because guess what? Everyone out there in the universe, just because they're out there and they may be older, doesn't mean they have the same kind of knowledge you do. Someone may be wanting to study abroad from a different planet and are tapping into Earth, and that's their course that they're taking. And so I'm a distant teacher or instructor, right? And I'm more just presenting my way, and they could be studying us. So not only are you being observed, if you're putting your stuff out there, that's your mission, then there's other beings and places that are listening and observing you and seeing if you're doing your work. If so, then they'll invite you to go out to their space and distant learn from them because you're willing to do so. All right, guys. So hopefully this helps. Another framework. Once we get these frameworks out of the way, then we can really start doing some fun work. So desired motivation, pass those ions on, right? So this is organic learning. How to learn is it has to be organic. It has to be what you love to study. If it's not what you love to study, then it's not your thing, and it's just going to be drudgery the whole time. Right? So you may want to reevaluate that situation and go, okay, maybe this isn't what I really want. Right? I get that it's going to pay me a lot. I get that it's going to give me certain prestige, but really, can I see myself doing this 400 years, 40 years, 4 years? Right? And so we need to lead by example, become the teacher and instructor. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go the traditional route of teacher or instructor, right? But just present yourself with your unique perspective. That's teaching others, right? Shaman, guru, rabbi, they all mean teacher. Right? I prefer instructor because I'm just helping people structure their ions, instructions, structure the ions. Make sense? So then we get that feedback and that reflective criticism, and then through that we understand humility. And humility, we're going to talk about later in the next video, probably is about gratitude, a deep understanding and awareness and insight about what gratitude really means. All right, guys, that's going to about do it for this episode. We appreciate you showing in. Definitely like, subscribe. If this was enlightening to you, please share it with others so we can get this message out, because there are big changes coming. What we've seen so far is small. There's big changes coming, and we will be publicly introduced to our galactic brothers and sisters and audience. So I appreciate each and every one of you, galactic and Earth-based. I appreciate you showing up and liking these videos and all that good stuff. All right, guys. See you later.